Brooke slid a paper across my Thanksgiving table like a verdict. The room went quiet, then laughed, and the laugh stuck to my skin like grease. Her pen hovered over a blank signature line already labeled Wu-I-T-N-S. Ran Carter. My name is Gloria Jean Carter. I am 68 years old, and at 20:19 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, November 28, 2024, my daughter-in-law told me to go upstairs and rest in my own house. Then she tapped the line again. If you're listening right now, tell me where you are. A kitchen table, a parked car, headphones in after a long day. If you've ever had someone smile at you while quietly taking something away, you'll understand this story. You can stay with me by tapping like, and if this kind of truth matters to you, consider hitting subscribe so you don't miss what unfolds next. Because in 10 days, paper will speak louder than blood. I learned early that houses breathe. When I was in my 30s, my hands raw from scraping old paint and hauling broken cabinets out to the curb, I used to stand in the middle of a gutted living room and listen. Baltimore air drifting through cracked windows, floorboards settling, pipes ticking inside the walls. A house that had been abandoned too long always sounded tired. But if you fixed the bones, it would start to hum again. That hum meant rent paid on time. That hum meant control. I bought my first rundown rental with money I stacked in envelopes, each one labeled in black ink. I kept those envelopes in a metal box under my bed. Every December I sat cross-legged on the carpet and counted. Not just cash, receipts, repair estimates, lease copies. If it wasn't on paper, it didn't exist. That rule fed my children, kept the lights on, and eventually put my name on Carter Holdings LLC and my revocable living trust. I didn't talk about it at family dinners. I didn't brag. I just filed. When we moved into 2419 Ashland Row, the house felt like something I'd earned cell by cell. The key turned with a solid click. The door didn't stick. The hallway smelled faintly of varnish and lemon cleaner. I ran my hand over the stair railing the first night and whispered, "Mine." Harold laughed from the kitchen, where he was trying to figure out the stove. We ate takeout on the floor because the furniture hadn't arrived yet. I remember the hum of the refrigerator and the way the light above the sink flickered once before settling steady. A small flaw. I fixed it the next morning. Harold was steady in ways I wasn't. He didn't care about LLC structures or tax strategies. He cared about Sunday mornings and the way the sunlight hit the front windows. When he died, the house didn't hum, it held its breath. The rooms felt larger, like the walls had stepped back. I stood in our bedroom and stared at the indentation his pillow had left. Grief is quiet. It doesn't slam doors, it just changes the temperature. That week, I drove to Daniel Price's office. I wore a navy suit and carried a folder thicker than some novels. Daniel had handled my filings for years. He looked at me over his glasses and said, "We'll tighten everything." We did. Carter Holdings LLC, the trust. Clear instructions, clear authority. I told him I wanted no confusion, no gray areas. He nodded and tapped the stack of documents. "Paper protects you," he said. I believed him. Marcus was already grown by then, shoulders broad, hands always dusty from job sites. He hated conflict. You could see it in the way his jaw tightened when voices rose. If Renee and I disagreed at dinner, Marcus would stare at his plate and say, "Let's just drop it." He liked clean lines and finished projects. He didn't like emotional mess. Renee was different. She felt everything loudly, trusted easily, forgave quickly. Sometimes too quickly. The first time Brooke walked into my house, she didn't comment on the hardwood floors or the molding. She asked, "Who handles the paperwork around here?" She said it lightly, smiling, as if she were joking. I was in the kitchen slicing tomatoes. The knife paused mid-air. "I do," I said. She nodded like she just confirmed a rumor. At dinner that night, she asked Marcus, "What happens if your mom gets sick? Do you have a plan?" The word plan hung between us like steam. Marcus shrugged. "Mom's got everything handled." Brooke laughed softly. "I'm sure she does. I just like clarity." She used that word a lot. Clarity, structure, safety. Each one sounded harmless. Each one slid across the table like that paper on Thanksgiving. Over time, the house shifted under her influence. She created a family group chat and named it Carter Crew with a little turkey emoji. I muted it after the third day because my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Brooke posted reminders about dinners, shared articles about elder care, asked if anyone had noticed that I'd repeated a story twice. The first time she said it, people replied with laughing faces. The second time, Renee wrote, "Mom, maybe you should slow down a little." I stared at that message for a long time. One evening, I walked into my living room and found a stack of old photo albums on the side table. Brooke had reorganized the shelves. "It'll feel lighter," she said, smoothing her hair. "Less clutter." I picked up one album and felt dust along the edge where it had been sitting undisturbed for years. Lighter for who, I wondered. Talia noticed things others didn't. She'd sit at the dining table with her laptop open, headphones on, fingers flying across the keyboard. Once, she glanced up and said, "Grandma, you keep backups, right?" I smiled. "Off everything." She nodded, satisfied. "Good. Because people always think nobody's watching." She went back to typing, the keys clicking like a metronome. The last peaceful December I remember, I sat in my small locked closet, the one off my study with the door closed and the light humming overhead. I spread documents across the floor, operating agreements, amendments, copies of filings. I checked dates, signatures, witness lines. My handwriting looked steady even years apart. I slipped everything back into labeled folders and locked the door. Outside, I heard Brooke laughing in the kitchen. Marcus's voice was lower, almost apologetic. I couldn't make out the words, just the tone. That night, when I walked through the hallway, Brooke touched my arm and said, "We just want what's best for you." Her grip was gentle. Her nails were perfectly manicured. "Best for you." I wrote the phrase down in my small black notebook. I wrote the date next to it. I didn't know yet how many times I would underline those 3 words, but I remember the pressure of the pen on paper, the ink bleeding just slightly at the edge of the letters, like something trying to seep through. That was before 2019 p.m. on Thanksgiving, before the group chat lit up with concern, before Daniel called at 9:12 on a Monday morning. Back then, the house still hummed. Not loudly, not proudly, just enough for me to believe that paper and discipline would be enough to keep it that way. I was wrong about one thing. Houses breathe, but so do stories, and sometimes the story people tell about you can suffocate a room faster than any lack of oxygen. The first time Brooke used the word confused about me, she said it softly, like she was testing the sound. By the 3rd time, it echoed, and I started listening more carefully than ever before. Thanksgiving didn't end when the dishes were cleared. It followed me upstairs. At 2019 p.m., Brooke had pressed that paper toward me and said, "Maybe you should rest." People laughed. Renee stood beside her, eyes glossy, saying, "Mom, it's just a care plan." Marcus stared at the table like the wood grain could swallow him whole. I walked up the stairs alone, my shoes silent against the runner, and closed my bedroom door. The house felt smaller than it ever had. That night, the Carter Crew group chat lit up. "Brooke, love you all. Today was hard but necessary. Would just want Mom safe. Someone else aging is tough." I watched the bubbles appear and disappear. No one asked how I felt. No one said my name without attaching it to a diagnosis. I typed 3 words, "I'm not confused." Then I deleted them. Silence can be evidence if you use it right. The following Monday, at exactly 9:12 a.m., my phone rang. "Daniel Price." "Gloria," he said, his voice clipped. "We received a request through the client portal." "What kind of request?" "A copy of your trust documents and an updated durable power of attorney draft. There's a signature attached." My spine went cold. I didn't sign anything. That's what concerns me. I drove to his office without turning on the radio. The waiting room smelled faintly of toner and carpet cleaner. Daniel slid a printed draft across his desk. My name was signed at the bottom. It looked almost right. "Almost, but not yours," he said. He showed me the portal thread, the timestamp, the email header, a request sent under the language of clarifying authority for healthcare decisions. My jaw tightened. Brooke's language. Brooke's phrasing. "I'm locking everything," Daniel said. "No changes without you physically present, 2 forms of ID and a non-family witness." I nodded once. "Paper protects you, but only if you move faster than the person trying to rewrite it." That afternoon, I called Talia. She came over with her laptop and a calm I hadn't seen in anyone else for days. We sat at my dining table, the same table Brooke had used as a stage. Talia opened the portal logs Daniel had forwarded. She traced lines on the screen, eyes narrowing. "See this," she said. "The access pattern. It's not random. It's consistent with someone who's logged in before. Same device fingerprint. You're sure?" She tapped the screen. "Grandma devices leave footprints." We backed up everything. Metadata headers. Screenshots. Talia saved copies in 3 places, then looked at me. "They think you won't look." The next twist came without warning. I found out Renee had agreed to be listed as a witness on the care plan. Brooke had told her it was just precaution. "Mom needs support," Renee had said when I confronted her in the kitchen. Why are you fighting us? Fighting you? I asked. She folded her arms. You've been repeating yourself. You get overwhelmed. Brooke's trying to help. The word help hit harder than any insult. I could handle greed. I could handle manipulation. But hearing my own daughter say she trusted someone else's assessment of my mind over my own voice felt like being erased in real time. That night, I wrote Renee's name in my notebook. Not with anger, with clarity. 2 days later, I went to my bank branch. The lobby lights were too bright, reflecting off polished floors. I asked to speak to the branch manager. I also asked for the authorized notary. They brought out a journal. There was an attempt to notarize a power of attorney document. The manager said carefully. But the signature didn't match our records. Did you process it? No, ma'am. We refused. The word refused steadied me. Someone had drawn a line. When I got back to Ashland Row, Brooke was in the kitchen slicing apples like nothing had happened. You look tired, she said sweetly. I'm fine. She smiled. We're just trying to simplify things. Next year we're thinking about starting a family. The house needs stability. There it was. Not concern for me. A blueprint for herself. That evening in the group chat, Brooke wrote, we should finalize paperwork before the baby comes. It'll avoid confusion later. A confusion. I set my phone down and called Sienna Torres, the elder law attorney Daniel had recommended. We met the next morning in her office, walls lined with framed certificates. She read the draft POA, the portal logs, the bank note. This is attempted elder financial abuse, she said, no hesitation. Why file an emergency notice? We put them on record. Paper protects you. If you use it before someone else does. With Sienna's guidance, I sent a formal request through Daniel's office asking to reconfirm the LLC's management terms and signing authority. Within hours, Brooke responded in the portal thread, let's update everything to avoid future stress. She wrote, I can help coordinate. She couldn't help herself. She needed control documented. Then came the conversation with Marcus. He stood in the driveway, hands shoved into his jacket pockets, eyes tired. Why are you escalating this? He asked. Did you share details about my trust with Brooke? He hesitated. That was answer enough. I just told her basic stuff, he said. She worries. I wanted peace. You handed her the keys. I replied. He ran a hand through his hair. I hate conflict. Mom, I looked at my son and saw the boy who used to hide when his sister cried too loud. Avoidance had followed him into adulthood. You chose quiet over truth, I said softly. His silence stretched between us, thick and heavy. By the time Sunday, December 8th arrived, the house didn't hum anymore, it vibrated. Brooke had called a family meeting. We need to settle this, she'd written. I agreed. I wanted every chair filled. I wanted every witness present. I wanted the story told in the same room where it had been rewritten. Because this time the paper was mine. Sunday, December 8th, 2024, Brooke held her family meeting at 2419 Ashland Road to get me to sign a care plan and a power of attorney update. I let her pack my dining room with witnesses, then I put the paperwork on the table and took back my name. Brooke had lined up bottled water like this was a workshop. Renee arrived first, hugging her purse to her chest. Marcus came in behind her, eyes tired, jaw tight. A few cousins and an aunt took seats. Brooke stayed standing at the head of the table, tablet in her hand. We're doing this calmly, she said. Gloria, just sign so everything is safe. Safe. That word again. Talia sat near the end. When the doorbell rang, Brooke's smile widened. It was Daniel Price and Sienna Torres. Daniel carried a slim envelope. Sienna carried a thicker one, sealed. Brooke blinked. Who are they? My counsel, I said. Her gaze snapped to Marcus. You didn't tell me she hired lawyers. Marcus swallowed. He didn't answer. Brooke slid a folder toward Renee. We're worried. She's been repeating herself. It's normal. Renee nodded too quickly. Mom, it's temporary. Daniel set his envelope down. Before anyone signs anything, I need to address a matter that came through my client portal on Monday, December 2nd at 9:12 a.m. Brooke gave a small laugh. That's a misunderstanding. A durable power of attorney draft was requested, Daniel said. A signature was attached. I slid one printed page forward. My name sat at the bottom, wrong in a way my bones could feel. Renee's hand flew to her mouth. What is that? That, I said. Someone trying to talk with my hand. Brooke's voice sharpened. Are you accusing me? Sienna laid a letter on the table. Mr. Price has locked all trust and LLC changes. No authority shifts without Ms. Carter present with ID and a witness who isn't family. An uncle frowned. Why? Daniel didn't blink. Because the signature did not match Ms. Carter's signature history. Brooke lifted her chin. Signatures vary. Not like this, Daniel said. Talia turned her phone on and set it beside the paper. Portal thread and metadata, she said. Access source aligns with Brooke's device usage. Brooke's eyes flashed. That's not proof. It's a trail, Talia said. And it lines up. I watched Renee's eyes bounce between the forged signature and Brooke's face, searching for a story that didn't hurt. That was my wound. Brooke tried to pull the room back under her. Everyone listen. Gloria is paranoid. She doesn't want help. I didn't look at Brooke. I looked at the table. If I were paranoid, would the bank have a record? Sienna placed another document down, a branch manager's signed note and a notary journal entry summary. There was an attempted notarization connected to this power of attorney, she said. It was refused due to signature mismatch. Marcus's voice came out hoarse. Brooke, why would the bank refuse you? She snapped too fast. They didn't refuse me. I held still. Then who did they refuse, Brooke? Her mouth opened, closed. Brooke's anger spilled. This is disgusting. Dragging lawyers into family business. Family business, I repeated. You made it business when you tried to sign my name. Daniel's pen hovered. Ms. Carter, do you want me to read the portal request aloud? Brooke's eyes darted. No. That one word was the crack. Not a confession, but a refusal to let the record speak in front of witnesses. I slid Sienna's sealed packet forward. Emergency filing, I said. It stops anyone from pretending this is love while reaching for my life. Marcus stared at it. Mom, I'm still your mother, I said quietly. But I'm not your exit plan. Brooke pushed her chair back. You'll regret humiliating me? I met her eyes. You picked the stage? I said. I brought the paper. I reached into my old folder, pulled out my house key, and set it on the table between us. Not thrown, placed. Brooke stared at it, and for the first time, she looked like someone who understood she was about to lose access to the only thing she'd come for. After they left my dining room, the house sounded different. Not peaceful, just exposed. The refrigerator hummed. The floorboards settled. Somewhere upstairs a faucet dripped again. Marcus stayed behind, standing in the doorway like a boy who'd been caught. I didn't think she'd go that far, he said. You gave her the map. I answered, that's far enough. He tried to step closer, and I lifted a hand. Not dramatic, just final. His eyes landed on the key I'd placed on the table earlier, still sitting there like a verdict. Renee lingered too, cheeks wet, voice small. I thought the care plan was helping. That's why it worked, I said. It sounded clean. When the door finally closed and I was alone with Talia, she didn't ask if I was okay. She opened my folder and slid the locked down letter from Daniel Price on top, then Sienna's emergency filing packet beside it. 2 pieces of paper, 2 edges. Would change the locks tonight? Talia said. I already called, I replied. I'm not waiting for another concerned visit. We walked through my own house like we were reclaiming a boundary line. I checked the closet door I kept locked. Talia checked the backups. Everything stayed with me in my hands, not in a family chat, not in a husband and wife whisper. On my phone, the group chat kept pinging. Brooke posted a long message about love and safety and how she'd been attacked for caring. The words were soft, but they landed like a slap. I didn't respond. I saved it. Sienna had told me silence can be a strategy. Evidence doesn't need volume. It needs a timestamp. Before bed, I wrote one line in my notebook deck. 11:42 p.m. Brooke's narrative attempt begins. I stared at my handwriting until my eyes burned. I wasn't dreaming about revenge. I was dreaming about being announed. And downstairs on the table, my key sat where everyone had seen it, waiting for the next hand that tried to touch what was mine. The house is quiet again, but it's a different kind of quiet. Not the kind that swallows you. The kind that waits. I'm still here at 2419 Ashland Row, still checking locks, still writing dates in my notebook. Paper didn't just protect my assets. It protected my voice. If you've made it this far with me, tell me where you're listening from. And tell me honestly, what would you have done in my place? If this story stayed with you, you can subscribe and keep walking through what happens next. Because this isn't over. Investigations don't move fast, but they move. And tonight, my phone lit up one more time. Carter Crew, Brooke is typing.